Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold failed to drop a whole lot more after some weak U.S. data, but the big news is palladium is breaking records continually. Let's explore. Yes, indeed, this comes to us today from CNBC. Taking a look at the markets here. Gold steadied on Monday after paring losses as weak U.S. manufacturing data rekindled worries about a slowing economy. And there's also some trade fears as well, too. Palladium exceeded $1,860 per ounce in its week-long surge to new all-time highs on a supply crunch. So spot gold was a little changed at $1,464.20 per ounce. U.S. gold futures settled down 0.3% at $1,469.20. Gold initially fell to a low of $1,453.60 per ounce on a stronger dollar, and is better than expected manufacturing data from China propped up equities. However, U.S. stock indices dropped and the dollar slipped on data showing an unexpected drop in construction spending in October as investment in private projects tumbled to a 3-year low. Market started the day on a risk-on tone, but got caught off guard when the ISM data was a bit weaker than expected. We saw equities, yields, and the dollar all correct, which has helped gold a bit, said Ryan McKay, a commodity strategist at TD Securities. Also note that hearing on the news earlier that the market was down because of trade worries and fears. But, that should almost be baked in at this point, because it's one of those things where until we see a phase one deal signed, let's just assume that it's not going to go through, or that it's just going to languish. Maybe not that it won't go through, but it'll just be delayed or what have you. World equities began the week on a strong footing after private business surveys showed Chinese factory activity expanded at the quickest pace in almost 3 years in November. However, markets reversed course following a report that U.S. President Donald Trump said he would immediately restore tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum imports from Brazil and Argentina. Investors favor gold during times of global uncertainty. Not only that, but also what's going on with the legislation passed that supports the protesters in Hong Kong is also a monkey with a wrench in the trade negotiations. The notion that the U.S. Federal Reserve is done cutting interest rates for now and will need to see a trend in weaker data through early 2020 to convince the market that we're going to get more cuts. Until then, there's no real impetus to see gold rally, McKay added. So basically, all this did was kind of keep it from falling a whole lot more. The Fed cut rates 3 times this year and has one more meeting on December 10th through 11th. However, investors now see the Fed keeping interest rates unchanged until at least mid-2020. I believe that. I don't think they're going to cut rates either. Markets also awaited clarity on the interim U.S.-China trade deal. Palladium was up 0.3% and $18.45.80 an ounce after hitting a new high of $18.61.71 earlier in the session. The metal has been breaking records daily since November the 25th. Palladium positioning is slightly counterintuitive to the price action and implicitly confirming heavy OTC interest from the long side. It is interesting. This is quite telling where the metal is going. We'll look at that, but before we do that, let's pause here and take a look at where the prices are. We can see that gold is only down $1.90 now, but silver is now below the $17 level again, $16.99 for an ounce of silver now, making it the biggest loser here on the precious metals. Platinum is up $2, just above the $900 level, and palladium is up $10 to $18.57, making it the big winner. So speaking of winners, this is an article here from Kitco, from Anna Golubova, and this was sent to me by Silver Honda, who drives a blue Honda. This metal would hit $2,000 before gold does. Yes, you can guess. Well, we know it now. It's platinum. It's palladium, I mean. Palladium is a standout precious metal this week as it hit new record highs while the U.S. markets were closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. The precious metal climbed to a new record. Of course, this was posted a couple days ago. It says palladium is the only one moving higher, which is bucking the trend a little bit, not only relative to gold, but to industrial metals as well. Aluminum didn't have a particularly good day this morning, neither did copper. And here's palladium just hitting record after record. Year to date, the metal is up around 60%. Looking back, palladium saw clear price peaks established at the end of March, July, October, and now November. Going into 2020, analysts are confident the metal will keep climbing to new record highs next year, notwithstanding some natural pullbacks that follow rallies. It's not particularly surprising that palladium is doing well. We think it will hit $2,000 at the latter part of next year when gold does better as well, Malik said. We formally have $2,000 average in the fourth quarter of 2020. But given normal volatilities, that could be 2100 to 2150, we wouldn't be shocked if that happened. A correction would be a natural thing to see sometime soon, said Capital Economics Chief Commodities Economist Caroline Bain. We are still of the view that prices got a bit ahead of themselves despite positive fundamentals. We think there could be a correction at some point soon, but ultimately prices will continue to rise next year, Bain said. So it's all about the supply-demand fundamentals with this really largely industrial metal as a catalyst. When it comes to palladium's price rally, it's about the supply-demand fundamentals. The majority of palladium's demand comes into the auto sector as a metal is used in catalytic converters that reduce emissions in gasoline engines. Ultimately, that the market is trying to price in here as scarcity down the road. There certainly isn't a lot of new capacity coming in from the mining side. Recycling is probably steady. We expect a bit of inflection in the demand side and not really seeing significant growth on supply, Malik said. TD Security estimates significant deficits in the metal in 2020 and 2021. Even though Bain was surprised to see palladium rise so high so quickly, she highlighted that none of the other metals are experiencing this strength in demand. There's a very strong fundamentals case for higher palladium prices. The market has been in deficit for many years. We've got a surge in demand because of tighter emission regulations coming in from China and the EU, Bain pointed out. Substitution is a long-term game that will likely change the mix used to make catalytic converters rather than completely substitute palladium with platinum, according to analysts. So that is something else. It's a long-term game. And so they're going to change that mix used to make catalytic converters and completely substitute. Platinum is the one everyone is looking at for substitution because it has very good catalytic properties, but it does not function as well at high temperature environment, and that is the key. It is different, especially for gasoline engines. It can't be fully substitutable, but the mix might change. When we talk substitution, there's no one is arguing 100% substitution. So in other words, they could use both. Plus, analysts don't see substitution happen anytime soon. Every auto producer right now wants to make sure that these catalytic properties fully satisfy the regulators, and therefore they might be very well be comprehensive testing going on before they start using the new technology. It might take a while, which means why we might see platinum prices kind of languish where they're at. They are kind of riding the coattails of gold and silver to some extent, but they are low. A timeline for a real case of substitution could be around 2 years or so, Bain pointed out. There can be a little bit of substitution, but do it on a meaningful scale is probably a couple of years away in terms of technology and making sure it's cost effective to do so. So that's very eye-opening, I think. Very interesting indeed, which is, I think, bolsters the case why we might see palladium hit $2,000 before gold does. Very interesting indeed. Thanks again to Silver Honda for that eye-opening article here. We'll keep on driving our Hondas, blue or silver or otherwise, with the precious metal inside of it that will catalytically convert everything, all the pollutants out. There you go. So post your thoughts below. Very fascinating indeed. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to all of you for taking the time to watch. I do post videos on a daily basis, and I want to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.